from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And of course, we have some bonus time today as Fantasy Football in Focus, which typically comes to you every single Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, is coming to you here on Thursday due to travel at noon Eastern Time worldwide. We're proud to be here with you on all of our wonderful channels worldwide to you. You can watch and listen on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and you can find us on internet streaming radio, wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So however you're connected with the show, we thank you so much for being here with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. And I cannot thank you enough for being a part of the show all throughout the week, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, as well as 7 days a week on all of our social media, Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. So however you're with us, thank you for making Wake Up Call a part of your weekly ritual here and your habit. We appreciate you so very much. Once the shows go live, they jump into the archives and you can hang out with us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, as well as Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Podchaser, as well as Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. So however you are with us, thank you so much for tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. And with that being said, Fantasy Football in Focus comes to you every single week, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Make sure you head out to the Wildcat 7 days a week and enjoy all the amazing things that they have to offer. And of course, you can also go to them for takeout and delivery by calling 315-487-2222. That's 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat Sports Pub. As we always do with our Fantasy Football in Focus, if you have a question, go ahead and send it off to us. I'll be happy to answer the questions as we go. So if you have a question that comes up, make sure you write it in. And if you write it in live, there's an awesome opportunity for you to hear your a response to your question in real time. If you have a question and you're watching this show on playback, all I ask you to do is to make sure you respond to this video specifically so that I know it's for this week, so I can answer the question for you before your matchup comes up. So whatever questions you have, send them over to us. Like I said, always happy to answer them and happy to be here with you on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. So we're going to get started as we always do. We're going to go from top to bottom. So if you're watching and listening to the show and you say, Dan, did you talk about the Colts yet? And you hear me talking about Cincinnati, Tennessee, you know the Colts are coming up next because we go top to bottom. So whenever you're listening into the broadcast, you'll know exactly where we are. We start with Thursday night and we go all the way through Monday Night Football. And we're going to start on that Thursday night matchup in the NFC North. Detroit at Green Bay, the Lions at the Packers, giving me an opportunity to have a conversation about that with you. So if there's any way that we can help you in setting everything up, like I said, for your specific team, make sure you send us your questions as we go forth. And with that being said, we're going to go forth here in the broadcast and start discussing this. So we're going to start in the Detroit at Green Bay game. Jared Goff, I have him as a quarterback 2 in this matchup. I believe that this is a game that's probably going to be in the 20s, and so I don't see a ton of scoring here for Detroit, and that's why I've put him down a little bit here in my rankings, speaking of Jared Goff. David Montgomery, if he's okay to go, I got him as a 3. I got Jahmyr Gibbs as a running back 3 as well, but I give him a slight edge over David Montgomery due to injury right now. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I have him as a wide receiver 2. Sam Laporta, I have him as a tight end 2. Your best bet is Amon-Ra and then Jahmyr Gibbs, but Jahmyr Gibbs shouldn't be your 1 or 2 running back this week. On the other side of it, I got Jordan Love as a quarterback 2. Aaron Jones and Christian Watson with hamstring injuries. The nagging injuries that are not good for anybody, but when it comes to running backs and wide receivers, I get very concerned about that in fantasy. So I'm going to go ahead and leave them off the list if they're not okay to go. If Aaron Jones is okay to go, I got him as a low end running back 2 just because of his injury. I got A.J. Dillon as a running back 3 this week. Romeo Doubs as a wide receiver 3. I think that either one of those guys could be worth the play for you. Romeo Doubs has been doing some good things, and I like A.J. Dillon, and I've liked him since he was in college at BC. So that's what I'm seeing from that matchup. The next matchup that we have up here is going to be one that you have to remember to set early. You might want to set it before you go to sleep on Saturday night, just so you don't miss out on this. If you're sleeping in on a Sunday, or if you're out and you're at church, wherever you are, you may forget that because Atlanta at Jacksonville is one of the home games that Jacksonville gave up to overseas, and with that game being given up to overseas, they're going to be playing at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. So you have to make sure that you prepare as such for that game. For Atlanta, I got Desmond Ridder as a quarterback 2. Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier are the best backfield that Jacksonville has faced so far this season, which makes me somewhat concerned. I do like Tyler Algier a little bit above Bijan in the first 3 weeks, but I think this could be a potential breakout game for Bijan. So I got Bijan as a running back 2. I got Algier as a low end 2, high end 3. I think either one of them is worth the play in this game. Drake London I have as a wide receiver 3, and Kyle Pitts I still have as a tight end 1, but I have him a little bit lower here in just the inconsistencies that we see with Kyle Pitts since he came into the NFL. I like Kyle Pitts. I just, I feel like he should be their best receiver. They brought in Jonnu Smith, who spent time in Tennessee. Then he went to the Patriots last year, and now he's here in Atlanta, and I think he's here to help out. We've seen some things as far as taking a look. I want to take a look at the game log here for Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts through 3 weeks with Desmond Ridder as his quarterback. He was targeted 9 times most recently against Detroit. He had, let's go to the beginning here, week 1, 2 catches on 3 targets, 44 yards, then 2 catches on 5 targets, 15 yards, then 5 catches on 9 targets, 49 yards, no touchdowns. So Kyle Pitts, that's why, to me, he's a low-end tight end 1, high-end tight end 2. Your best bet is Bijan and Tyler Algier, I think, in my opinion, for this game, although Jacksonville has done some good things against the run. They've been giving up the pass more than the run this season. So just something to monitor, but I think because there's, both of these guys, there's some talent here. And speaking of both of these guys, they have 2 guys on the other side, too, for the Jacksonville Jaguars, that being Travis Etienne Jr. and Tank Bigsby. I would love it if they use Tank Bigsby more, because I think Tank Bigsby being utilized more is going to open up this offense. I think with the sputtering this offense has done, if you give an opportunity to Bigsby, I think that he'll come through for you in a way that might help people to take a breath of fresh air, do one of those deep breaths, take a step back, and I think that things might actually be better for the Jacksonville Jaguars if they could work it out and utilize Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne more. I think it's going to genuinely help out the team overall if they do this. So I'd like to see that happen. This is a great game to do it in, since you don't have high expectations in the Atlanta Falcons defense. So this could be a really great game for them to be able to put this out there and give it a shot. So I'd like to see that come through for them. And I think, like I said, this would be a great game to put out Tank and put out Travis Etienne more together than they maybe have been. And I think, if you got, let's think about it this way. You run Tank between the tackles, you do Travis between the tackles a bit, but now you can bounce him outside. Now you can have him do some things, catch the ball out of the backfield, which we know he can do. And we know he's got a great relationship with Trevor Lawrence, having played with him in college at Clemson. I think the more you have Tank out there, the more it helps Trevor, and the more it helps Travis, and the more it helps the team in general. And like I said, a team that's been looking to get things going offensively that has struggled in these last 2 weeks, I think having the running game start to go is going to help Trevor to maybe have a smile or two, get him to loosen up his shoulders, and this offense to be able to feel a little bit better. I think that a big answer in this team getting going here after a couple blunders in back-to-back weeks is getting that running game going. So I like Travis Etienne as a running back 2. I like Tank as a 3 this week. Trevor Lawrence, I still got him as a QB1, but he's got to do more. He's got to make better decisions, and this team has to move down the field better. Being in the red zone and having such a lack of success in the red zone has me move him a little bit down the ranks here. Still have him as a QB1, but he's like, for me, a mid-range QB1. I think he's worth, playing for you, especially against this defense, which I don't anticipate a lot from, speaking on the defense of the Falcons. But at the same time, this Jaguars team has underperformed, and their underperformance has made them vulnerable and susceptible to these losses. So I think Trevor Lawrence, he's still a 1. He just got to play better for me to feel really good about him in the weeks to come. But again, this is a good defense to go up against. Christian Kirk, I like him as a wide receiver 2. Calvin Ridley, I have him as a wide receiver 3. He's got to figure things out with his quarterback. They got to try and work on things together and get something going, because they have been very confusing in this early on in the season. So they're really going to need to figure out who they are and who they want to be and how they want to run this thing as they go forward. I like Christian Kirk better than all the wide receivers on the team right now. And obviously we still have an injured Zay Jones, unfortunately, which hopefully that changes sooner than later. Evan Engram, I have him because Trevor likes to go to him. And, in situations where the team is trying to make a comeback this past week, Trevor trusts in him. And Trevor's gone to him the last couple weeks here. And so really he's gone to him all throughout the season, but I say the last couple weeks when the team was trying to move the ball and, playing from behind, he went to him and trusted in him. So I like Evan Engram as a tight end 1 because of the fact that he's the guy that, Trevor's going to look to in the receiving core. He's not a sometimes guy. It seems like he's becoming more and more of a piece of this offense that Trevor can lean on, especially when he wants to move the ball. So I got him as a tight end 1. Next matchup that we have up here, and if you have any questions, make sure you send them over to me so I can answer you as we do this in real time. Miami at Buffalo. This is a game where Miami's coming off of scoring 70 points. The team went absolutely bonkers on the Denver Broncos. Surprise, surprise. The Denver Broncos, I hope they get things figured out. They're on a 3-game losing streak to start off the season, having only played 3 games, and they're coming off giving up 70 points to the Miami Dolphins. In that game, Tua had 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Mike White got in, threw 2 passes, was 2 of 2, and had a touchdown, no interceptions. Tua went 23 of 26. Devon Achane, the rookie running back, 18 carries for Miami, 203 yards, 2 touchdowns. Raheem Mostert, 13 carries, 82 yards, 3 touchdowns. Chris Brooks out there, 9 carries, 66 yards, 7.3 yards a carry. Tyreek Hill had a touchdown, 157 yards. Robbie Chosen had a touchdown, 68 yards. Mostert had a touchdown. To go with his 3 on the ground, he had 1 catching as well. 7 catches on 7 targets, touchdown, 60 yards. Braxton Berrios had 33 yards. Achane had 2 touchdowns receiving to go with his 2 touchdowns rushing. So Raheem Mostert and Achane had 4 touchdowns apiece against the awful defense the awful team right now, unfortunately, that are the Denver Broncos. So Miami comes into this game against Buffalo. Obviously, they're playing a different team offensively and defensively here. You would like to think the Buffalo Bills are going to make this game a little bit better. But Tua in this matchup, I like Tua as a QB1 in the matchup. I like Mostert and Devon Achane as coming off the games that they had there and knowing that Buffalo's given some stuff up in recent history. I'm going to go ahead and put them as running back 3s, high-end running back flex-out guys in this week. Tyreek Hill, definitely worth the play because it's Tyreek Hill. And Jalen Waddle, unfortunately, going through the concussion. He was a full participant in practice, though, yesterday, so God willing, he's able to go. If he is, then I got Waddle out there for you as a wide receiver 2. For Buffalo, Josh Allen, worth the start here, in my opinion. James Cook, in this matchup, I have him as a low-end running back 2. And then Stephon Diggs, worth the play. Gabe Davis, I have him as a 3. It's hard to pick between Knox and Kincaid because they use them both. So this could affect your fantasy game. So if you ask me a direct question on your fantasy team, I can help you out there. But I'd probably steer away from Knox and Kincaid right now just because it's a more up-in-the-air type of situation fantasy-wise. Denver at Chicago, a game where I think the teams will be fighting to get to 10 points early on. I think Chicago is going to handle this game. As bad as Chicago is, this is a win that I think they're going to get coming up against the Denver Broncos, who have just been an awful team to start the season. They were an awful team last season as well. And really, since Tim Tebow was out of there, this team hasn't looked good. They've had some good rushing attack moments, but that's it. Javonte Williams, I'm going to put him as a running back 2 for you. Cortland Sutton, Russell's got to throw to somebody. You'd think Russ the Bus, getting all this talent, he'd be able to move the ball. Chris Manhertz, who played for the Jaguars for a little while, he's there now as a backup tight end to Adam Trotman. But, Jerry Jeudy, a limited participant with a knee injury. I would say Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy are going to be wide receiver 3s. Javonte, a running back 2. I think for Chicago, Justin Fields, I got him as a mid-range quarterback 1. If you've been waiting to play him, this may be the week that you want to put him out there because he's playing such a horrendous team. So I would probably go in this case. And listen, I'm not trying to, this is not hate that I'm putting on the team. It's the reality that this was not a Nate Hackett problem. The Denver Broncos, Nate Hackett hasn't been there, folks. It wasn't his fault last year. And I thought it was asinine that people said it was. And it definitely is not his fault this year because look at what they're doing. Russ is still not moving the ball. This team still isn't winning games. And they look arguably worse than they looked last year. So I think Justin Fields, this is the game you play him in. I think Khalil Herbert is a running back too because of this game. I think Rashawn Johnson is a guy you could look to putting out there, a rookie running back for the Chicago Bears in this matchup because of who they're playing. They're 2-0-3 teams. Rashawn hasn't been terrible. Him and Herbert have under 100 yards cumulatively in 3 weeks. Rashawn has the lone rushing touchdown for the team. So, I would say, again, if you're going to put him out there at any time, I got Herbert as a 2, Rashawn as a 3 or a 4, a flex guy. DJ Moore and Cole Kmet, you could look at putting them out there because it's Denver. I'm more high on Cole Kmet than I am on DJ Moore. I got Kmet as a mid-range to low-end range tight end 1 this week because of the matchup. And going from here, Baltimore at Cleveland. Cleveland played a fantastic game against the Tennessee Titans, almost shutting them out, which was crazy to me in that game. And then the fact that they could play like that, at Cleveland definitely, because you get high on Cleveland and they don't do it, and then you say nothing about Cleveland, and then they can sometimes sneak up on you. So looking at this matchup that Cleveland has with the Baltimore Ravens, Baltimore's coming off a loss at home to Indy, which used to reside in Baltimore with the Baltimore Colts back in the day. We're taking a look at the matchup that they just came off of. Lamar was 22 at 31, 202, no touchdowns, no picks. Ran the ball 14 times for 101 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Gus Edwards had 11 carries and he had 51 yards. Melvin Gordon III, who they brought in, he had 10 carries for 32 yards in that matchup. Zay Flowers led the way again in receiving as a rookie. 8 catches, 48 yards, ran the ball once for 2 yards. Nelson Aguilar and Mark Andrews both caught 4 passes apiece for under 40 yards. Kenyon Drake, he got involved as well, 2 catches for 31. Melvin had 2 catches for 23. They're going to spread the ball out. That's what this team does. And I think that, Baltimore in this matchup, Gus Edwards, to me, he's a flex guy. Probably a flex 3 at running back. Lamar Jackson is worth the play. Zay Flowers is worth putting out there as well. He's a true flex. I got him as a top flex position guy up against a lot of people. So I'd put him out there. Mark Andrews, you got to put him out there as well. On the other side of it, Deshaun Watson, he has a shoulder injury. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who I have the rookie card of, if he's healthy enough to go, he might, well, he's the rookie out of UCLA. He might have to go in this game for the Cleveland Browns as we continue to monitor what's going on. Nicholas sent me some information. Yeah, I do trade advice. Absolutely. So, Nick, I'm going to get to your question in just a moment here. We're going to finish off this Baltimore-Cleveland thing, but make sure to subscribe to the channel while you're here and let us know your hometown so we can shout out where you're hailing from. So definitely send that over to us. But I will get to your question that we just had come in on YouTube. If you have a question for our fantasy football in focus special that we do every week on Wake Up Call, that is normally on Wednesdays from 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, but we had to switch it to Thursday this week to lunchtime due to the fact that I was traveling. So we'll be back to Wednesday next week at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, so make sure you set the dial for that. If you have a question, send it to us on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, or on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com to the direct video or internet radio channel. So if you send it directly to this video on youtube.com or facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt, I can see it like I just saw Nicholas's question. So make sure you send that over to me. For the Cleveland Browns, I want to take one look at something that's going on right now with Deshaun Watson and his injury. Limited with that right shoulder injury. And so he's resting his throwing shoulder. So we got to continue to watch this here and see what goes on. So he's resting his shoulder during practice now. Hopefully he's able to go, and we shall see. I mean, he's coming off of a big time victory over the Tennessee Titans in the AFC. So we have to monitor that. If he's okay to go, I'd still be concerned about putting him out there. Probably put him as a quarterback too this week. Jerome Ford is injured with a shoulder injury. Kareem Hunt, who just came back onto the Browns after they didn't want him in the offseason, he just sustained a rib injury in his first game back. So Pierre Strong Jr. might get some pub here. Jerome Ford, I got him as a running back 4 this week due to injury in the defense they're playing. Amari Cooper, I have him as, well, it depends on if Deshaun Watson's able to play. So I got him as a wide receiver 3, and that's really it. There is value on Cleveland, but guys got to get healthy. The more value lies on Baltimore's side. And now I want to answer Nicholas's question. So Nicholas, make sure you click subscribe while you're here and let me know where you hail from. Here's the team. Mahomes, Pollard, Kyron Williams, Jerome Ford, Alexander Madison, Pacheco, Hunt, and then wide receivers, Keenan Allen, T. Higgins, Jerry Jeudy, Chris Godwin, Quentin Johnston. Would you trade Madison and Jeudy for Amari? Let me see who else you got here. Yeah, I mean, Madison, he doesn't wow me. Judy's on a terrible team. So I would say Nicholas, I think you have enough running back help here. So I would say yes to the trade for Amari Cooper. I do like that because I think Amari's got more upside. I feel better about him than I feel about Jeudy. If you could trade Amari straight up for Jeudy, I would do that. But Madison's a guy who I'm not wowed by his performances. They talk about him stepping up when he was a backup to Delvin Cook, and he did okay, right? Not great, but he did okay. Now looking at him this season where he's the true starter, he's had 34 yards rushing, 28 yards rushing, and 93 yards rushing. He hasn't scored a rushing touchdown all season. He hasn't scored a touchdown all season. So, yeah, I would say I'm okay with that because Alexander Madison has been very underwhelming for me so far this season. And pardon me, he did score a touchdown he scored a touchdown receiving in the season opener against Tampa in the 20-17 loss at home. So he does have a receiving touchdown. So, yeah, I mean, I would probably make the trade, Nicholas. And once again, let us know where you're from. Click subscribe. So, with that being said, we're going to take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, Fantasy Football in Focus, we'll continue NFL's Week 4 with my thoughts on the 2023-24 season and helping you and giving you advice. Proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Open 7 days a week, including for every game day. And, of course, you can come and get their takeout and delivery by calling 315-487-2222. That's 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat. We'll be back right after this.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, right off of Teal Ave, is the place to go for all your sports card needs. If you're just getting into the hobby, it is a perfect place to have a great first impression. And if you've been in the hobby for a long time, well, it's that same awesome hobby that you love with new memories to make at GG Cards and Breaks. Go there for singles as well as graded cards, aka slaps. You can go there for packs and boxes as well. They have new things coming in all throughout the week, so you never want to miss out on an opportunity to get to GG Cards and Breaks 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5. Make sure you let them know that Wake Up Call sent you or DT sent you over. You could say that as well. And GG Cards and Breaks, the premier place for all ages to continue to do the wonderful thing that we love, which is collect sports cards and to have so much fun doing that. They also have Pokemon, and they have the new Disney Lorcana, which is very, 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 very hard to find. And they just had a ton of people come in and spend some good money on getting some Disney Lorcana products. So make sure you head off there today and start building your Disney Lorcana deck. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, getting back into fantasy football advice. We're going to jump back into it with the Cincinnati at Tennessee game. Cincinnati's coming off of preventing the fact of being a 0-3 team to start the season. Tennessee is coming off of a game where they looked absolutely not like the Tennessee that you would anticipate them being. They are 1-2. They just lost 27-3 against the Browns, barely beat the Chargers a week before 27-24, and lost to the Saints on the road 16-15. They're back at home now after being 0-2 on the road and 1-0 at home, so they have another home opportunity. This is against Cincinnati, and I don't think it's going to get better for Tennessee because of the power that you have on the other side. Joe Burrow is worth the play. So is Joe Mixon, as well as Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I got Jamar in front of T. Higgins as far as wide receiver 1 versus wide receiver 2. On the Tennessee side of things, it's hard to tell you to keep Derrick Henry off of your playlist here. So I would say put him out there. Tajay Spears, though, to take a look at him. He's a rookie. We haven't seen a ton from Tajay coming from Tulane, where I covered him in college. But DeAndre Hopkins, D-Hop, he's been all right. Nothing crazy, nothing to write home about. D-Hop's got 153 yards through 3 games. Some wide receivers have that in 1 game. His yardage is 65, 40, and 48 from week 1 through 3, respectively. He does not have a touchdown. So D-Hop, not somebody to write home about. Playing up against Cincinnati, I got D-Hop as a wide receiver. Low end 2, high end 3. Probably more of a high end 3. Derrick Henry, I got him as a running back 2. And that's it as far as fantasy football advice for the Tennessee Titans in a game that I think Cincinnati is going to be able to handle here. And hopefully probably score 30 for you fantasy owners out there. The Los Angeles Rams at the Indianapolis Colts. Taking a look at the Rams here, as the Rams bid adieu to Cam Akers, which was something that never really worked out. Kyron Williams, happy that I kept all of his rookie cards coming out of Notre Dame. Kyron Williams in this matchup against the Colts, I got him as a low end 2, high end 3 to flex out there for you. Puka Nacua, who's been awesome, he's got an oblique issue. If he's able to go, Puka Nacua is a good flex out for you. And if not, then Tutu Atwell, I would have him as a wide receiver 3 for the Rams on the road at the Indianapolis Colts. For the Colts side of things, Anthony Richardson is coming off of that concussion, and he had a full practice on Wednesday. He is questionable to play in this game. Gardner Minshew had a fantastic overtime victory over Baltimore on the road. So big shout out to Gardner Minshew, who had plenty of opportunities to cover in Jacksonville. On the side for the Colts, Anthony Richardson, I got him as a quarterback too in this matchup. Michael Pittman, I got him as a wide receiver too. And Zach Moss, Trey Sermon, Jake Funk, some guys that have some upside. But I don't feel great about any of them. If you want to flex out Moss as a running back 3, you could look to do something like that. Outside of that, I don't feel great about anybody except for Michael Pittman as a wide receiver 2 for you this week when speaking of the Indianapolis Colts. Next matchup that we have here, and send your questions in if you got them, Tampa Bay at New Orleans. And if you're watching this on playback, make sure to respond to this video specifically so that I can answer your question directly and I don't miss it. For Tampa Bay, going up against, in this matchup, New Orleans on the road. New Orleans has had themselves a good start to the season under Derek Carr, best quarterback that they've had on the roster since Drew Brees decided to retire a couple seasons ago. So, it's I think there's some good here for New Orleans, and they're in a division that I think is literally wide open, probably more wide open than any other division out there. We have in the NFL, we have Tampa Bay at 2-1, and Tampa Bay putting up 11 points at home against Philadelphia. Granted, Philadelphia is a good team. Baker's been all right. Rashad White has been all right. Sean Tucker from Syracuse, what up? He was able to carry the ball a couple times most recently here, not doing much with it though. Mike Evans above Chris Godwin still in the receiving core. Tampa, Rashad White fumbled. Baker Mayfield fumbled. Robert Hansley was able to recover a fumble for the team. Baker didn't lose the fumble that he had though. On the other side for New Orleans, the Saints are also 2-1. And they've won 1-1 on the road, and they're 1-0 at home, beating the Titans 16-15. This is a game where, it really depends on is Derek Carr going to be healthy. In this matchup for Tampa Bay, I got Rashad White as a low-end 2, high-end 3 at running back. I got Tucker as a running back 4. I got Evans as a 1, Godwin as a 2 at receiver. And then for Derek Carr, he's got an AC joint problem. If he's able to go, then you can look to him. Alvin Kamara is able to play now, so Alvin Kamara is definitely worth putting out there. Chris Olave and Michael Thomas depend on who their quarterback's going to be. If Derek Carr is out there, I got Chris Olave as a 2 probably no matter what. Michael Thomas as a 2 or a 3 depending on who's out there. And Juwan Johnson, well, he's got talent, but they don't target him enough, and there's too much inconsistency. So do I look forward for Alvin Kamara coming back? Absolutely. Outside of that, I think your best bet is Olave. If Derek Carr is healthy and able to go, then I would go with the Saints to win this game. If not, then I'm going to, if Derek Carr's not out there, then I'll give the slight edge to Tampa. I just think Tampa struggles to score points. So that's going to be an issue for the Tampa Bay Bucks. But I do like Kamara being back. I like Olave, and hopefully Derek Carr's able to go. And if he's not, hopefully somebody can step up for them. Next matchup that we're going to have coming up here before we take another step aside on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is Fantasy Football in Focus, here with NFL Week 4 of the 2023-24 season, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub. If you have a question, send it in to us. I'd be happy to answer any and all of your fantasy football questions. I appreciate the ones we get all over the country and the world. Washington at Philadelphia. Let's head there. And know that next week we'll be back at our normal broadcast time. Fantasy Football in Focus, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, will be back to Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time next week. The only reason why we're Thursday during lunchtime this week is because of travel yesterday. For Washington, I don't feel great about anybody except for telling you to play Terry McLaurin because he's proven he can play with any quarterback in Washington since coming into the league from Ohio State. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Terry McLaurin as a wide receiver. Well, they're playing Philadelphia. So I'm going to put him as a wide receiver 3 this week. I don't feel great about anything in Washington going up against Philly. I like Jalen Hurts, DeAndre Swift. I like Kenneth Gainwell as a sneaky flex running back 3. I like A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, and I like Dallas Goedert. A lot of Philadelphia love this week in fantasy, and I'm going to have them with the victory. Minnesota at Carolina. This is the opposite of fantasy love. I got some fantasy love for Minnesota. I don't have much fantasy love for Carolina. Carolina getting rid of Christian McCaffrey was the best thing for Christian. Worst thing for Carolina. They got nothing going on right now. Minnesota, taking a look at them so far this season. We talked about Madison already. Justin Jefferson's got 458 yards in 3 games because he's awesome. Jordan Addison, as a rookie, has played 3 games in the NFL. He's got 2 touchdowns and 185 yards. Not too shabby. TJ Hockenson, who left one NFC North team, the Lions, for this NFC North team, the Vikings, has 179 yards in 3 games as a tight end and 2 touchdowns. KJ Osborne finally starting to show up for the Minnesota Vikings, coming from the University at Buffalo, transferring to Miami. I had him on the show. He has 2 touchdowns and 101 yards in 3 games. Shout out to him for that. Josh Oliver, tight end, who was drafted by the Jaguars and was injured and never got going. He's got a touchdown this season as a backup tight end. And Alexander Madison's lone touchdown comes out of the backfield, catching the ball for the Minnesota Vikings. And that is coming on, he has in 3 games, he has 11 catches, 1 for a touchdown. So, in this matchup against Carolina, I think this would be the game to play Kirk Cousins. I like Kirk in this game as a QB1. Alexander Madison, I got him as a running back 3 still. Cam Akers, they brought him in for a reason. And so I got Cam Akers as a sneaky pickup for you. Maybe you put him out there as a running back 3. Justin Jefferson is worth the play because of who they're playing. KJ Osborne is worth a flex 3. Jordan Addison, a low end 2, high end 3 at wide receiver. Probably more of a 3, but worth the play out there. As well as TJ Hockenson is worth the play because they've all been playing well. Speaking on Hockenson, Addison, Osborne, and Jefferson. And now they're playing Carolina, who's a lot of things, and none of them are good right now. So Miles Sanders, a limited participant with a groin injury like the hamstring, really difficult to overcome, especially for a running back or a wide receiver. So I'd probably leave Miles off for you here. I don't really feel good about anybody. Adam Thielen might play out for this game because he was a Minnesota Viking the whole rest of his career, and he is not a Viking anymore. He's in Carolina, so he could play up for this. You might want to flex him out as a 3 or a 4, but still, I don't feel good about anybody in Carolina. I think Minnesota, they've had some really good numbers, almost 500 yards for Justin Jefferson through 3 games. The man's a friggin' animal. That means that arguably through the first 6 or 7 games of the season, he would be a 1,000-yard receiver. Think about that. A 1,000-yard receiver with 10 games to play. That's Justin Jefferson for you, man. He's a friggin' beast. And who's throwing to him? Kirk Cousins. And how much respect does Kirk Cousins get? Not a lot, but he gets it on this show. Shout out to Kirk Cousins and all the good that he's done in Minnesota. Hopefully that team can figure it out, get into the playoffs to get a little bit farther this time around. We're going to take a step aside right after this one. Pittsburgh at Houston. This is a game where you feel like going into the season, you'd say Pittsburgh with your eyes closed, right? Not even having to know anything outside of, what Houston has been. But Houston's been playing pretty good. C.J. Stroud, we'll see if it's real when he goes up against Pittsburgh, but C.J.'s going to be at home. Kenny Pickett, I got him as a quarterback 2 in this game. Najee Harris, I got him as a running back 1. George Pickens, I have him as a wide receiver 2. Freiermuth, I have as a tight end, mid-range to low-range tight end 1. Kelvin Austin III, I have him as a flex 3 or 4 wide receiver. And Allen Robinson II is injured with an ankle injury, so just watch that. And Jaylen Warren could be a sneaky guy to pick up if you're going to play 4 running backs this week. On the side of Houston, I got C.J. Stroud as a quarterback 2. Dameon Pierce, I have him as a running back 2. And Nico Collins has had a good start to a season, so has Tank Dell. I got Tank Dell as a wide receiver 3 in a deep league. He could be a 2, but I got him as a 3. Nico Collins, I also have him as a 3 at wide receiver at this point in the season. And before we take a step aside, I just want to make a quick note on the stats through 3 games here. Pierce has 100 yards on 40 carries, 2.5 yards a carry. Not great. 1 rushing touchdown. Nico Collins has 260 yards in 3 games, which is pretty darn good. It's almost 90 yards per game for Nico Collins and a touchdown. Tank Dell has 2 touchdowns to lead everyone in receiving in Houston. 251 yards. The rookie out of Houston, playing for Houston, has 21 targets, 15 catches in 3 games, 251 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So that man's worth the play. And I think that Nico is close by with him as well. Some value for Houston that goes beyond Dameon Pierce this year. Some good stuff to see for Houston, as I'm feeling good about their fantasy value in this game, and Pitt as well. But I got their quarterbacks, each of their quarterbacks, as quarterback 2s this week. Not that I don't think they're talented, just I don't want you to have to lean on either one of these guys in fantasy this week. Hopefully you don't have to. So let's take another step aside for a fast break. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, bringing you fantasy football in focus for NFL Week 4 of the 2023-24 season. Proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub. Head there to watch all the games. The Wildcat opens 7 days a week for you on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. And, of course, you can also go there for takeout and delivery by calling 315-487-2222. That's 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat. Make sure you get their fried dough. It is absolutely exquisite. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back right after this with more fantasy content. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also, I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was, selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Back here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of fantasy football in focus, and getting in focus here for these Week 4 games of the 2023-24 season. Next up, we have for you the Vegas Raiders at the Los Angeles Chargers. And pardon me, I didn't say it correctly. The Raiders. So we have in this one Jimmy Garoppolo. Concussion. God willing, he'll be okay. Aiden O'Connell, who I told you when he went up against Syracuse last year, you'd see him in the NFL. The Purdue rookie is one of the backups with Brian Hoyer to Jimmy Garoppolo in Vegas, so could see him out there this week. Josh Jacobs, to me, is worth the play, and Austin Hooper getting some, and Michael Mayer looking at him, Michael Mayer, the rookie, is as well. Another rookie, tight end here. Michael Mayer coming from Notre Dame. I have his rookie card. I know that. So taking a look at Vegas, if they have to go without Jimmy G, then, I mean, Devontae Adams still holds some value in Josh Jacobs. I would say Devontae Adams, is a wide receiver 2 with everything that's going on, a low end 2, high end 3. Josh Jacobs as a running back, low end 1, high end 2 because of the quarterback injury situation. And I think, it's hard to pick between these two tight ends, but I think, you could look to picking up Hooper or Mayer and on the waiver wire free agency if Jimmy Garoppolo is unable to play, and God willing, he'll be well. I do think the value lies with Josh Jacobs and the tight end position. It's just hard to pick a tight end between the two of them right now. Keenan Allen with Mike Williams out for the season. Keenan Allen's value continues to go up. Quentin Johnston out of TCU and Darius Davis, 2 rookie guys coming to the Chargers. Darius Davis also coming to us from, this is crazy here, you look at Quentin Johnston and Darius Davis, both rookies, both from TCU, both teammates there in college and now teammates with the Chargers. Either one of these guys could step it up here. Josh Palmer's done some things before as well. I like Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnston or Darius Davis. Sneaky guys to pick up right now on the waiver wire or in free agency. Grab them and stash them. They could be good flexes for you this week going up against the Raiders. Austin Eckler, we'll see how he is. He's got an ankle injury still. If he's not good to go, then you can look at Josh Kelly as a running back 3 or 4. I like Justin Herbert. I like Keenan Allen. And even with the injury to Eckler, this team was putting up crazy numbers this past week in fantasy. It was absolutely nuts with some of the numbers that they were putting up here with Keenan Allen and whatnot. So I would say definitely Allen, Quentin Johnston, or Darius Davis as flex guys for you at receiver. Definitely grab and stash guys. And Josh Kelly is a running back 4 if Austin Eckler is unable to go. And on the other side, Josh Jacobs. Devontae Adams got some love, but I lean more on the side of Josh Jacobs if Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't play. New England at Dallas, the America's team versus the team that people were trying to make America's team, right? Dallas was America's team with the Patriots, red, white, and blue, and winning as much as they did. Then there was that conversation that shouldn't they be the new America's team? Well, the Patriots, listen, the Cowboys played terrible on the road against the Cardinals, or else they'd be undefeated right now. The New England Patriots, their first win of the season came because they played an awful Jets team. I don't have a lot of faith in fantasy or in reality in the Patriots right now. I would say if I had to pick somebody on this team, which is really difficult, and hopefully you're not having to go through your roster going, which one of my Patriots is going to play this week? Ramondre Stevenson, probably your best bet. Probably your best bet, maybe Kendrick Bourne. But, Trayvon Diggs obviously out for the season with the Cowboys with that non-contact injury in practice, which was sad to see. I don't feel great about a lot of things here. PPR, if you're in a deep league, you might want to put out Kendrick Bourne. You might want to put out Ramondre Stevenson, but I don't feel good about anybody else. Dak Prescott in this game, I would imagine he can play well, which might mean that he doesn't, but I got him as a QB1. I got Tony Pollard here, worth the play here up against that. I got him as a RB1. CeeDee Lamb as a wide receiver 1 in this matchup. Brandon Cooks, I have never really been sold on him. Michael Gallup, flex him out as a wide receiver 3. There's not a ton of fantasy value here, but it lies on Dallas's side, in my opinion, for this week in this matchup. Next game that we have up here on the schedule is going to take us to Arizona at San Francisco. Arizona coming off of a big-time win over the Cowboys that leaves a lot of us scratching our heads, where San Francisco, they're just a good team. They're just killers out there. This is an NFC West matchup. James Conner is limited with a back injury, which means Keontae Ingram might be playing, or Amari DeMercado. We'll see. Marlon Mack, who I covered in college, who was a Colt. He's on injury reserve with an Achilles injury. God bless him getting back sooner than later. Looking at Arizona, though, under Josh Dobbs, with having him for the first 3 weeks here, with Kyler Murray being out, to take a look at how things have gone statistically for Arizona's players in this time. Michael Wilson, every quarterback has their guy, as I always tell you. Michael Wilson, 161 yards, 7 catches on 9 targets. Raise your hand if you know Michael Wilson. Exactly. Michael Wilson coming onto this team as a rookie, picked in the 3rd round by Arizona out of Stanford, and he has been the top yard getter with Josh Dobbs because every quarterback has their guy. Marquise Hollywood Brown's been behind him. He's been targeted 22 times for 14 yards, so he's obviously been the one that Dobbs has gone after the most. Zach Ertz, the longtime tight end, second most with 20 targets, but Michael Wilson's gotten the most yards, and Ertz has not scored yet. Marquise Hollywood Brown has 2 touchdowns in 3 weeks, catching 14 of the 22 balls thrown his way. I don't think it's going to look great for this team this week, so I think, if it's up to me, I would say, and Rondell Moore ran for a touchdown in this game against the Cowboys recently here. I got Marquise Hollywood Brown as it's up against San Francisco, so I got him as a wide receiver 3. I got Michael Wilson as a wide receiver 4. I have Zach Ertz as a tight end 2 because of the matchup. So I really don't have any dominant starters here. I like Brock Purdy in this game. I like Christian McCaffrey in this game. Debo and Brandon Ayuk are both injured. They got every single receiver, pretty much every one of them injured. Debo's got a rib injury. Ayuk has a shoulder injury. If they're able to go, they're worth the play, but this gives more value as of right now to George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey. Ray McLeod and Ronnie Bell might get some pub here, so you might want to grab them and stash them and wait to see how the injury report goes, because you might want to throw these guys out here. Ronnie Bell scored his first touchdown here recently as a rookie out of Michigan, so congrats to him for that. Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Brock Purdy, and watch that receiver situation. We'll take our final step aside on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We got a question coming in from AS, and so AS, make sure that you go ahead and follow us here. Make sure to subscribe and to let us know where you hail from so we can shout it out. So make sure you let us know those 2, or subscribe and let us know where you hail from, and we'll be happy to shout out your hometown. I will be answering your question, AS, right after this fast break when we get into your question and Sunday and Monday Night Football here on Wake Up Call right after this, where sports meets life. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student-athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And then them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora's Fantasy Football in Focus. Happy to answer your questions here. We just had one come up from AS. And Fantasy Football in Focus coming to you every Wednesday starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on Wake Up Call, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. We're doing NFL Week 4 in the 2023-24 season, and the reason why we're Thursday and not Wednesday this week is due to travel, so we appreciate you ad-libbing with us. AS said start 3 wide receivers, 2 running back, 1 flex. So Pollard, Swift, Najee, Kamara. Okay, so I got and it's a half PPR. And then 3 wide receivers, Amari, Cooper, Flowers, Hopkins, Godwin, Christian Watson, and 1 flex. Okay, so start 2 running backs. Let's see what I would do here. So AS, start your 2 running backs to start for me would be... Pollard, that's just tough because I like Najee and I like well, they're playing them. So I would say your 2 running backs, I would say Pollard and Swift. Your 3 wide receivers, let's see here. Your 3 wide receivers, I would go with, you got 5. Christian Watson's got the hammy, so let's see here. I would go with your receivers. I'd go Cooper, Flowers. I'd go Flowers and Godwin. and you got one flex. So flex, what I got left? I have Hop, Christian Watson, Najee, and Kamara. I'd probably go Najee with your flex. That would be my answer to you, AS. Make sure that you subscribe while you're here and let me know where you hail from. But happy to answer your questions. Happy to help as always. And hope to have you here next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. That's Wednesday because that's our typical time. We just had to move it this week. Sunday Night Football, Kansas City at the New York Jets. This game should get out of hand early. 40 or 50. I think Kansas City can put 50 up on this one. So I'm going to go ahead, and I mean, listen, I respect the Jets defense. They might be able to do some things here. Sauce might have a takeaway. Maybe they get a defensive touchdown. But I like Pat Mahomes in the game. I like Travis Kelce in the game. Pacheco, I like him in this game as well as a running back too. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is so underwhelming. Sky Moore. Rashee Rice is a guy covered at SMU. So taking a look at Kansas City, it's always hard to pick their receivers because in reality, Pat Mahomes does a great job moving the ball around. In fantasy, it's hard because Rashee Rice, I mean, he's the one I feel the best about right now. He's got a touchdown, 108 yards, 14 targets, caught 10 of them in 3 games, and he's a rookie out of SMU. Sky Moore's got 13 targets, caught 7 in 3 games, 112 yards, and a touchdown. Then you got Justin Watson, who is a guy that was drafted in 2018 by Tampa, round 5, pick 144. And he comes to us out of Penn, and he's leading the team right now with 158 yards, doesn't have a touchdown, targeted 12 times, so 1 less than Moore and 2 less than Rashee Rice, and caught 7 of them, which is the same as Sky Moore. So I think your best bets in this game are Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice. I like Rashee Rice as a wide receiver 3. Kelsey's a 1. Pacheco's a 2. Patty Mahomes is a 1. And if you want to flex out Sky Moore, you could look to do that as well. On the side of the Jets, and Breece Hall's hurt with a knee injury. So, I mean, I don't feel great about any of this. Garrett Wilson, it's hard to keep him off, but, you know, what's he going to do right now with the quarterback situation? They should have brought in 2 quarterbacks in week 1 when Aaron Rodgers got hurt. They should have brought in Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan and worked those guys out. Or somebody. They haven't done that. Garrett Wilson, 3 games, 12 catches, 22 targets, 165 yards, 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, these aren't great numbers. Alan Lazard, 7 catches, 13 targets, 108 yards. He was brought in as someone who knows Aaron Rodgers well. Another guy that knows Rodgers well, Randall Cobb, has 1 catch on 4 targets in 3 games. So he's been invisible. Dalvin Cook has 58 yards in 3 games on the ground. No touchdowns, 2.3 yards a carry. So, I mean, if anything, if you could play individual defensive players, I'd look at doing that with the Jets. Play a guy like Sauce. Garrett Wilson, he's a wide receiver 3 or 4, depending on what's out there. Dalvin Cook is probably a running back 4. All the value lies in Kansas City, in my opinion. Last one we got here for you this week is going to be Monday night, and there's only one Monday night game, so you don't have to choose. Seattle at the Giants. You probably wish you could choose in this one. I think Seattle's going to be all over this. Now watch, the Giants will have a good game here. It'll be like 24-20 because they're not supposed because you wouldn't anticipate they'd be in this game. But if you're going to play Geno Smith at any time, this could be a time to play him. I still have him as a quarterback too, but if you got somebody injured or, you know, you picked up Geno in a situation, maybe you could play 2 quarterbacks, then, you know, this would be the time to do it. I like Kenneth Walker in this game in the backfield for Seattle. Looking at him and Zach Charbonnet, Kenneth is a rookie from last year. Charbonnet is a rookie this year. Kenneth has 204 yards in 3 games, 4 rushing touchdowns. Charbonnet has no rushing touchdowns. A little bit better average, 4.6 yards a carry instead of 4.3, but he's carried it 16 times as opposed to 47 of Kenneth Walker III. So Charbonnet is a grab and stash guy. Kenneth Walker is worth the start. I got him as a running back 1 this week. I got Lockett and Metcalf as wide receiver 1s this week because they're playing the Giants. And on the Giants side of things, I don't have anybody to write home about. If you want a PPR Darren Waller and you can play 2 tight ends, look to do that. But beyond that, I don't see a lot of value for the New York Giants. And with that being said, this has been Fantasy Football in Focus, proudly presented by the fantastic team at the Wildcat Sports Pub. Thank you for tuning in for NFL Week 4 of the 2023-24 season. We're here with you all season on Wednesdays. Today was a Thursday due to travel. We'll be back to Wednesday this coming week at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And you can tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every week from Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So make sure you find us there. And of course, once we go live, we jump into the archives on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube, which you can get to all of those channels very easily by downloading the apps for free and searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. A big time thanks to our incredible partners, Carvel DeWitt, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Pizza Man, Great Lakes Honda City, Mother's Cupboard, PB&J's Lunchbox, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, 317 at Montgomery, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, and Avicoli's. We are, of course, the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of the Lemoyne College Dolphins, as well as the Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse Bobcats and the Alfred University Saxons. You can catch them all every single month in exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, with a spotlight on each of these schools that is only on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. They have their own page under exclusive partners on wakeupcalldt.com. Go and check that out, and subscribe for all of our content with each of the schools on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, with each school having their own individual playlist. With that being said, I hope you have a fantastic day. Have a wonderful week in fantasy football, and I'll talk with you all soon. God bless. No stress. Do your best.